And welcome again, everyone, to this week's edition of Get to Know. Joining us now is a very dear friend of mine, and all of you who watch Channel 2, especially on Saturday nights, know exactly who I am introducing here. Mr. Kevin LoVullo, who is the host of Spiel the Wine. And Kevin, thanks for joining us today on Get to Know. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you for including me. It's very nice.
Let me ask you, first and foremost, explain to the folks what Spiel the Wine actually means. Some people don't know.
It's a play on words from a song called Spill the Wine that was written and performed by Eric Burdon and Moore back in 1970. It's just this kind of like a bohemian rock folk tune, Spill the Wine. And just Spiel the Wine is just a play on words of talk the wine. Let's talk the wine with passion. So Spiel the Wine.
So before we get to your current day success with Spiel the Wine and hosting, I know, hundreds of different folks now on your show, your weekly show here on Channel 2. First, I want to ask, you are a Buffalo guy born and raised, right? Your whole family still lives here. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was born and raised in the town of Tonawanda in a very modest neighborhood of 7 of us in a 1,900 square foot home with 1.5 baths. And all of us have worked since we were kids. And knock on wood, we're all still residents of here of Western New York. And the next generation, I have 17 nephews and nieces. For the most part, they're all here in Western New York, but they're scattered throughout the world, including my wife and I have 4 children, and 2 of them are living out of, one's out of state, one's out of country, and 2 are local. So it's just, we have it here. And, we're old school too, Scott. We love the old traditions, and we're going to stay that way. And Buffalo has a lot to offer that we're very happy with.
It sure does, and we're glad that you and your family decided to stay here. Kevin, where did you go to school? And did you go to college? What did you want to be when you were in high school?
Yeah, interesting. I went to just public schools in the town of Tonawanda. I graduated from Kenmore East High School in the town of Tonawanda in 1978. And when I was a sophomore, junior in high school, my dad came up to me and he says, "Look, do you want to go to college or do you want to come work in the office?" And my dad founded an insurance agency that was located down in the Genesee building, which is now the Hyatt Hotel. And, when you're that age of 16, 17 years old, the heck with school, let's go make some money. So it was the day after graduation. It was June 26th of 78. I threw on the tie and went to work and learned, the mail room and filing and all that to a point where it was a couple years later, we started a business that myself and a brother-in-law of mine ran. And it was an insurance premium finance company that expanded into 13 states.
Wow.
And ultimately, somebody took a liking to us, so we sold that in 1980. That would have been 1999. From there, I took a year off, started to landscape my home, and I traveled throughout the state to look for unique plants. And I found that here in Western New York, we didn't have the plants that I saw in the Hudson Valley region or in the Toronto nurseries. Why don't we have it here? So to make a long story short, I bought some property on Transit Road in East Amherst and opened up a garden center.
Really?
And
I did not know that.
yeah, and traveled to Oregon and California to handpick specimen plants and bring them back here to Western New York to sell them to the public. And at the time, this was 2000, 2001, Spalding Lake in Clarence was being developed, and you had some beautiful large homes going up. And the trees and plants that I bought back from the West Coast were not the 6-foot trees that you would see locally. I bought 20 by 20 foot trees. So these were trees that were all brought in by 18-wheelers, refrigerated 18-wheelers, and we'd sell them. And along with some Vietnamese pottery that I would import from Vietnam by the container load. It was deja vu. It was 2005. Somebody came in wanted to rent some space from us to sell some of their product, and I wasn't interested in that. And he came in the next day with his uncle to make an offer to buy everything. And this was the property, the name, the inventory, and so on. And that was August of '05. And if somebody makes an offer like that, you just take it. Following week, I'm home.
So you had luck struck twice there. You were able to sell two businesses, and you worked hard. You worked for your family, and you were able to work with your brothers. I assume, was there a sister in there also? It was a whole family affair when you were at the insurance company?
I ran a sister company to LoVullo Associates. It was called Ardent Premium Plan, and we financed insurance premiums. It was my brother-in-law, Rick, and myself that ran that and had a staff of 25, 27 people.
Wow.
The parent company is LoVullo Associates. We're insurance wholesalers, and not to get into what that is, but we're managing general agents, and our customers would be the Lawleys of the world. So it wouldn't be the Scott Levin.
Right.
It would be, and if you, Scott, owned a business or a boat or something that was very exotic, Lawley couldn't write it. Lawley would call us, and we were agents for Lloyd's of London and various companies that write these hard-to-place risks. So I had a finance company to pay those premiums.
That's interesting. All right, so let's talk about current day. How did you find out, or did you always have a love for wine? When did that start in your life?
Well, you know, when you got out of the garden center business at that time, I was years old. I'm 61 now. I'm sorry, let me think. I was 42 at the time. And, again, I took a year off and I started collecting wine, tasting wine. Growing up, I was a beer drinker like all of us. But when you get to that age, it was wine. And I start collecting wine. And there's a monthly journal that comes out called Wine Spectator that I always enjoyed looking at the inside back cover, because they always did these interviews with athletes or musicians, and you get to read about Mick Jagger and what his interests are, and next month it was somebody else. Right. So what I wanted to do was to maybe create this book called Spiel the Wine and interview some locals and some internationally known people, and I ended up with 72 on a little micro cassette tape recorder. I went to a friend of mine, and he introduced me to a woman called Brenda Alacy. And Brenda's with Entercom, if you know. Mm-hmm. And she heard this idea that I had, and she said, look, you have the pipes for radio. Have you ever considered talking about this on radio? So I went and started in KB 1520 in May of 2009, and the following year to WBEN. And that contract went up, and I went and pitched it to a guy by the name of Jim Tollner, who was the president GM of WGRZ. And we had dinner the following night, and that was late of 2011. And we started on Channel 2 January 21st of 2012. So it was just like last week was 9 years. And this weekend will be show 346, I believe.
That is amazing. Show 346. And tell the folks who haven't seen it when it's on and what you actually talk about every week.
It airs Saturday evenings at 7 on WGRZ and repeats Sundays at midnight. And I like to focus on interviewing world-renowned winemakers, sommeliers, some local wine enthusiasts. I want to keep that local theme going. We feature a double wine of the week, and these are wines that the Global Group is a sponsor of our show. Periodically, I will go in there and taste a number of wines and pick out 7 or 8 of those wines I'll feature on the show. And the criteria there is that they got to have the bang for the buck. And the ones that we're featuring are selling retail at a show discounted price of maybe $9 to $12. And to me, they taste like $20 to $30.
Right.
So each of the 3 locations have end caps with all of my wines of the week. They can measure their investment in the show with the sales of those wines. And there's many viewers that are going to buy those wines, and they're buying tequilas and bourbons and scotch and all that.
Now, tell people, I mean, I know a little bit about wine, not a lot, but you really don't have to spend a whole lot of money, do you, to get a good bottle of wine?
I think, Scott, that it's all stereotyped as a luxury item, and that's kind of fallen by the wayside in just recent past. And on the contrary, you're right. You don't have to spend a lot to drink well. And there's some great values out there. So if the industry has changed considerably, we're living in the best of all times, and we've been drinking wine for 6,000 years. So there's some wonderful selections coming from all over the world. And, we also take it for granted, too, that we live in wine country. There's wines being grown to the north, south, east, and west of us. And, it's a different part of the world, and different different grapes will grow in our region. But, we should remind ourselves of that and patronize our local wineries for sure.
Right now, I'd have to ask you, if you could only have one bottle of wine every weekend at your house to share with your wife, what would that bottle of wine be, Kevin?
I love champagne. I love all wines, but I think champagne is really in a class by itself, of course. And there's nothing better than having a delicious a glass of French champagne. And, we all have flutes in our cupboards at home.
Mm-hmm.
Well, flutes are going by the wayside. And you're seeing more and more ordinary wine glasses being the vessel to enjoy your champagne. Many people don't like champagne because of the gases and
Right.
it's too much effervescence. So to eliminate having that little tubular going,
Right.
Or you have just an ordinary, wine glass that's like this.
Right.
You're drinking wine, so enjoy it in whatever glass, but I tend to go this way.
Now, for it to be a proper glass of champagne, it has to come from the Champagne region. Am I correct? Otherwise, if it's not from the Champagne region, it is known as what? Sparkling wine?
That's correct. So the region in Champagne is just if you take an imaginary line from Rochester down to the PA border our way, that's about Champagne. Outside of Champagne, sparkling wine. When you get into Italy, it's Prosecco,
Right.
Cava in Spain, and so on.
So, all right, so a couple personal questions right now. I know you live, I believe, in the North Towns, right? What is your, if you had to have a couple of favorite restaurants, what are a couple of your favorite restaurants that people could find Kevin LoVullo and his wife out at on a weekend?
Well, we're just coming out of this lousy pandemic, and so we're kind of limited over the past year. We've really enjoyed being at home and enjoying cooking in our kitchen. But pre-pandemic, pre-COVID, the locals here, I'm surrounded here in Williamsville by so many good restaurants. Salvatore's has been a longtime sponsor of the show. You can never go wrong to have a delicious meal and a beautiful bar setting at Salvatore's. But we tend to even get in the car and take a ride down to Lucia's on the lake in Hamburg.
Yes.
And yeah, it could be a 30-minute drive, but once you get there, it's worth it because it's on a beautiful setting, Route 5 and Lakeshore Road. The food, the people, very consistent. It's awesome.
Couple other questions. Do you have any hobbies that you like to do other than wine? What other hobbies does Kevin LoVullo like to do?
Interesting. I love reading. I never did as a kid, but it's amazing how I'm a late bloomer. I think all these things I didn't care for as a youngster, I am into it now. I love reading nonfiction. Let's see. I'm a family guy. I mean, my wife
Right.
and I, family, I spend a lot of time with them, and I love seeing them grow. I'm chatting with them on a regular basis, and they come to me. Their friends come to me with questions of life things, business things,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm happy to be a resource for people like that as well.
And Kevin, a couple other questions. What is it about Buffalo that keeps you here? You could live anywhere you want. You could do your show via, like we're doing it on Megaphone. What is it about Buffalo that keeps you here? What do you love about Buffalo?
The Four Seasons, that's a no-brainer. They're very defined beautifully, and the people. I think the people really make it. We're surrounded by fresh water. I think that's a wonderful asset to have at our fingertips. And it's just it's family. It's I have a wonderful family. We all here. We have places in Florida, but this is home base, and we have the theater, we have the beautiful sports, and you talk about restaurants. We can go one-on-one with any
That's right.
major city in the country and blow them out. So I have a license plate, Scott, that says Buffalo 1.
That's right. I was going to ask you about that. It says Buffalo 1, right?
So I enjoy driving around in my car with that, and we should be proud of what we have, for sure.
That's great. Now, let me ask you, as we come out of the pandemic, if you and your wife were to go somewhere on vacation, where is it that you would like to go on vacation once this pandemic is over?
Our son lives and works in Athens, Greece. We'd love to go to Greece and the Greek islands and hang out with Ryan for a little bit. Never been there. We love the Napa Valley, the West Coast. We love New York. We love Florida.
The difference between you and I is you'll go to Greece overseas. I'll go to Greece, New York. It's where I'll end up.
Yeah. A lot quicker and more economical, for sure.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, it has been a ball to get to know you a little bit better. Everybody sees you on Saturday nights and, of course, late on Sunday night as well with your repeat. And is there anything else you'd like to let the people know about you?
About me?
You're just a simple guy who likes wines and a family.
There's a bunch of things I love. I love music. I love rock and roll. I love sports. I love...
And you love fine cars, too. I do know that.
I have a nice car that I'm very fortunate to drive.
Right.
I don't take things for granted.
Right.
I like to stay healthy. I think all of us need to, it's a very difficult time that we're just coming out of, and we need to just have some optimism. But I think that one thing, that, not to sound too corny, that really umbrellas all of this stress, will get through people is prayer. I think prayer is very powerful, and I never thought I'd be sharing that with anybody. I don't do that often, but boy, I'll tell you, it's pretty strong, and it's something that maybe many people should consider.
Absolutely. I'll say a big amen to that. That is for sure. I couldn't agree with you more.
Yep.
That works for me. Kevin, it has been great to have you here today and getting to know you a little bit better. We really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, Scott. I'd love to reverse the tables here. Let's flip it sometime.
You got it. I would love to. Cheers to you.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
Kevin
Cheers to you as well.
LoVullo, Spiel the Wine. Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it.
Thank you.